Only 31 years old, the four-time Pe'ahi Challenge champion has etched his name among the best big-wave surfers of all time. After dealing with several traumatic events during his career, Billy Kemper still secured victories in several events at Sunset Beach, won multiple XXL Ride of the Year awards, became the Big Wave Tour World Champion, and dominated the lineup at Jaws. In February 2020, during a strike mission to the fabled Right Point Breaks of Morocco, Billy endured a near-fatal wipeout. While setting up for a barrel, he was pitched off his board, went over the falls, and was knocked unconscious, resulting in a broken pelvis, a collapsed lung, cracked ribs, and a knee that needed to be reconstructed. A year later, he's already back in the water, surfing as strong as ever.
It's just home for me, you know, big waves and challenging myself against Mother Nature is natural. I'm like charged by nature, you know, things that motivate me are, you know, what I have no control in, what I don't know the right answer to. And as crazy as it sounds, the addiction of fighting fear and being able to turn a switch of fear into adrenaline is what I can't get enough of. I feel safe when I'm out there. I feel disconnected to all the violence and trouble on land. It's just truly where I'm meant to be. I love it out there, and the feelings and the rewards that come with surfing big waves they're just, you know, you can't make them. Any surfer who's held out of the ocean, if they're saying they don't miss surfing, they're lying to you, because surfing is, you know, we're all connected by water, and this is the best thing in the world. There's nothing that compares to it, and it hurt, but it made me that much more happy to wake up at 5 a.m. and go to physical therapy the next day. You know, I knew the harder I worked, the faster I'd be in the ocean, and that's the motivating key to getting back out there. Through those 6 months, what I learned, what I gained, I wouldn't change it for nothing. You know, yeah, I was injured, yeah, my life was at question. Was I scared? Yeah, I found what fear was through this, and you know, that's all part of the process of getting to where I want to be. I don't feel like I'm at where I want to be yet. It was a very humbling and great learning experience. People always ask me what it was like growing up on Maui and with Jaws being in my backyard, and the best way I can put it into perspective is, you know, there's all these kids growing up maybe in a city like Los Angeles, and their dream in life is to be the next Magic Johnson or Kobe Bryant or, you know, the Dodger player, you know, and I'm sure they're begging their parents to go to these stadiums, the Staples Center, the Dodger Stadium, and watch these guys play ball. And they look at them as like, you know, superheroes. I want to be Kobe when I grow up. And for me, there was no stadium, there was no field. It was the cliff of Pe'ahi, and I used to go there when I was, you know, like children's age, 3, 4, 5 years old, and I used to look down at Laird Hamilton and Derek Donner, Dave Kalama, you know, the OGs of Jaws, and that was truly what it was like growing up there. I used to look at those guys like Superman and Spider-Man, like they were my superheroes. They were what I wanted to be as a kid growing up on Maui, and like that's what I thought was the coolest, sickest thing in the world. And over time of studying what those guys were doing, and then the next generation, and then my generation of, you know, wanting to tow the biggest, craziest barrels out there, and that time in my life of being that middle teenager in high school and your parents telling you that surfing's not a job, or, you know, it's not going to pay the bills, you know, you need to go to college. That was just like a bunch of nonsense that made me want to surf Jaws that much more. And I do remember going out there my first time. I was with my best friends from Maui, Marlon Lewis, Matt Miola, and Albie Lair, and we hitchhiked a few rides off of other guys towing in. They whipped us into some waves, and from that day on, you know, it was all history after that. And most importantly for myself and Albie Lair, that moment, that day right there, just that started a whole new race through life. And we've been chasing what we were introduced to that day since then. You know, it's this feeling of overcoming your fear, this feeling of being uncomfortable and not knowing what's going to happen. It's a feeling we can't get enough of, as crazy as that sounds. You know, I've surfed in so many surf contests around the world, and events like the Duke OceanFest is something that stands out more than a surf competition. You're talking about a foundation, you're talking about the legacy of the man who put Hawaii on the map with the Olympics, with the birth of surfing, you know, anything that has to do with the legacy of Duke Kahanamoku. It just really turns things very prestigious. When surfers are asked, you know, what's motivated them or inspired them to really, you know, pursue this health and awareness and training and all that, without a doubt, all that inspiration is coming from, you know, Duke. You know, that was the forefront of it. You know, the birthplace of surfing, the first Hawaiian to ever win a gold medal. I feel like surfing did not get the recognition of an Olympic gold medalist, you know, as a professional athlete. Surfing didn't get that for years. And I feel like right now with, you know, I'm so honored and grateful to be a part of this generation and a part of this movement of surfing getting the respect of, you know, the opportunity to compete in the Olympics. We're looked at as athletes now, training, physical therapy, taking care of your body, recovery. There's so much that goes on before the surfing that decides most likely what that result's gonna be. And I wanna be living proof of, you know, pro surfers are professional athletes, and whether we're holding Olympic gold medalists or, you know, riding the biggest waves in the world, I want that respect, and I feel like it was lost. And I feel like this is bringing back the birthplace of surfing, bringing back the legacy of Duke Kahanamoku and the athleticism that he brought Hawaii on, put Hawaii on the map for. You know, that's, you can't take that away from Hawaii, you can't take that away from our state, and I just feel like we're at a point where we're getting that respect back. You know, as a surfer, as a surf fan, as somebody who just lives for surfing, this has been a dream of mine. I'm not competing in the Olympics this year, but it's been a dream of mine to see my friends, to see my sport be on the Olympics. You know, most importantly with two of our own, you know, to have John Florence and Carissa Moore, two people Hawaii born and raised, go represent Duke Kahanamoku in the birth of surfing in the first year ever at the Olympics. It's such an honor, it's such a cool time, and I think, you know, without Duke doing what he did, none of this would be possible. I feel like to give back to his legacy, his family, and the state of Hawaii, you know, this is what it's all about, and it's humbling to say that I'm a part of it.
At 14, Duke Kahanamoku embraced his responsibility to master the ultimate Hawaiian tradition, becoming a waterman.
A waterman is someone who can do everything in the water.
As a kid in Hawaii, you wanted to be a waterman, and the Duke was the big kahuna.
To us, he's the king of surfing.
No American athlete has influenced two sports as profoundly as Duke Kahanamoku.
He was on the world stage, even though the world wasn't ready for it.
All of a sudden, it's like he's a superstar.
Jim Thorpe, Jesse Owens, Jack Johnson, and lost in that shuffle is Duke's role as a racial pioneer.
He did encounter overt racism.
He was able to break a lot of color lines.
The amount of pride that he was able to give to his people. He was one of the biggest celebrities in the world.
Aloha.
He had come from nowhere to the Olympic team in 3 months, which is an unrivaled story in Olympic history.
He changed the world with the Kahanamoku kick, the same kick that Michael Phelps learned.
A superhuman feat. He's bringing a sport that nobody has seen before to their shores.
I think that Duke shared surfing with the world because it was the greatest gift that he had received in his life, and he wanted other people to experience it.
He rescued so many people. Life-saving wasn't a profession back then.
There are true heroes in the world, and he was one of them.
Duke accomplished the seemingly impossible. The story of one of America's greatest icons. When the world saw Duke, they saw Hawaii.